Today, let's get to listen to stories of triumph amidst failures, courage despite fear, strength through weakness, and even the occasional hopeful cheer from personal punny experiences. I am your host, RKaye, and this is the BetterU Podcast. What is up, fam? Welcome to today's episode of the BetterU Podcast. Coach RKaye here. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. Now, today we are diving in deep and discussing another possible encounter or possible objection and obstacle that many of us often face when we start out our fitness journey. And I myself have had this experience as well. And a lot of us, when we begin our consistent training routine, one of the many things that comes up as an issue for all of us, or many of us, is where do I train? And that in itself is something that often we would get to realize that, I don't really have a training venue or a place where I can do regular exercises or my training program. And so I'll just forget about it. And one of the many funny things about that is during the time when we were all locked in our homes, aka during the pandemic times, many of us did struggle, especially those of us, including myself, who are just so used to going to a gym or an actual facility. And possibly because of that, many of us do have that realization or that idea in our head where if there's no gym, I can't really do anything. And we have actually proven the fact that it is something doable. It is something that we can readily do, in all honesty. And to me, it was both. At first, it was a little bit of a curse, but then eventually it became a blessing that I was able to see the beauty of really just training, not just at home, but pretty much anywhere that you're available. Another thing that you can compare this issue to, or kind of really think to yourself that it is a possibility not to entirely have a gym facility and still train, are for people who consistently or are often not at home. You know, if you are a business person, a business woman or man, and you do get to travel a lot or go to so many places, you don't necessarily stay at home or in a specific address on a regular basis, right? This is also applicable for people who experience that. And this type of example itself means that you can conquer this challenge. And it is specifically challenging, especially if you're someone who's like me. And I'm not saying that everyone is like me, but if you are someone like me who likes to plan everything out, for everything to have to be quote unquote perfect, or you have a certain ideology that, if it comes to fitness training or really diving into my health and fitness and improving it, I really want to go to an actual facility. I myself have been a number one critic about this. I've always criticized that, I cannot really do a complete training routine if I am not inside a gym. And again, as I mentioned, I've proven myself time and time again that I am wrong. And so, guys, one of the many things that we really need to push forward when it comes to this type of struggle and this challenge is number one, to really look into that training program that we have. Now, if you are like myself, you are very used to a lot of weight training. One of the many tweaks that you can adjust when it comes to still having a high intensity or still manage to be at par or in equal amount of intensity is by playing around with your own fitness routine. Now, if your fitness routine requires you to do, let's say, 3 sets of 10 repetitions, one of the many easiest tweaks that you can really do is to adjust the sets and the repetitions that you do in your certain program. Now, let's say, as just an example, if I were to do 3 sets of 10 repetitions of a 50 kilogram squat inside the gym, the main equating this type of exercise or this type of drill inside a home or in any venue, I wouldn't have a bar, I wouldn't have weights. What should I do? Now, what I would simply do, and the easiest tweak for me to do, is to increase the sets that I do as well as the repetitions. Now, of course, that would definitely depend on your current fitness level. Now, for myself, I would probably go as much as 5 sets of maybe 15 to 20 repetitions just to try and keep up with that intensity that I can do in a gym. Now, of course, that's just an example for myself. It would also depend on your own current physical activity level. All right, guys. So that's just a very easy and easy to do tweak for you guys. If you are very worried that, okay, I cannot go to a gym facility, maybe I need to travel somewhere, or I currently am stuck in traffic and it bothers me to just go to the gym, maybe I'll just train at home. What can I do specifically so that I will not need to cease or stop my current training routine? And that is one of the easiest ways to tweak and adjust your training program. Another good example to do as well, and many people who regularly already train regularly, another easy way to really still be at par with intensity or how much you push yourself during training. Another way to do it is not just to increase the repetitions and the sets, you can also do time-based training. Now, when time-based training or with time-based training programs, many people often do these types of routines not too much with too much weights. All right, so often it is essentially lighter weight that you can carry. Maybe it's just small equipment that you already have ready for you at home, or it can also be just body weight exercises. Now, in terms of time-based training, there are so many different ways that you can play around with it, but the easiest way to apply it is to do it in increments of maybe 20 to 30 seconds for each of the exercises that you have listed in your own training routine. That in itself is just enough time for you to push yourself to do as many repetitions as you can in the time frame of those 20 to 30 seconds, guys. And oftentimes they call instead of sets, they call it rounds, because oftentimes when you play around with your training routine and just use a time-based routine instead of a repetition-based routine, what happens is you move from one exercise to another. So you just move through your list of exercises instead of the traditional way where you finish one exercise first and then move to the next. And the great thing about this is, again, if you are not in a current training area or venue, it is easier for you to really just drop on the floor and move around and stand back up, do a squat, go back down and do a sit-up. So in any case, you will be able to adjust well, even if it doesn't happen in an actual gym setting. All right, guys. Now, again, many of us tend to really maybe lift up our eyebrows. A lot of raised eyebrows always when it comes to or comparing anywhere types of trainings, or what I call myself convenient training, as opposed to going to the gym. Many people will often compare both and still say that, of course, going to a gym and having weights and machines and all that will always be far more superior than not having anything at all. And to some degree, I agree with that. But of course, again, guys, when I always talk about starting out your fitness journey, many people often start from scratch, all right? And comparing your level of fitness as someone who already is consistently going to the gym as opposed to someone who's starting from scratch, maybe doesn't have any background at all in going to the gym as well, there are certain degrees of ideas that we can't really directly compare to someone who's beginning and trying just to start out their journey. It all intertwines pretty much. You know, if you don't really have a venue, some people will say, oh, if you don't have a gym, you might as well just don't do it at all or not train at all. And that in itself, that statement itself, when you say that to someone, that really discourages them. And that's what I want to stop. All right. That's the type of ideology that I want everyone to understand, is that not everyone starting out their fitness journey has the exact same background that you would have. Not everyone would have the same opportunity that you have. Maybe you are someone wanting to start your fitness journey and you already have a gym membership, or you've already invested in home gym equipment. Your journey will, let's say, be far more easy or easier than someone who is still trying to, dip their toes and begin and kind of have like a lot of doubt in themselves that if they should even start out their fitness journey. And if you are in that space, in that headspace, and you have someone, maybe a friend or a family member, who's trying to begin their journey as well, I hope and pray that you don't discourage them just because they are not in the same exact situation as you are. That in itself, guys, is something that I would like really a lot of us to get to understand more in terms of starting out a fitness journey. I know I say it so many times. It's always a phrase that I always tend to repeat so many times. But yes, starting out and improving on yourself, it's something that isn't exactly the same for everyone. And that in itself is one of the many things that we need to repeatedly tell ourselves and understand better. We live in a world where we just cannot help but judge everyone. Even if we say we're not judgmental, we just live in a world that is unfortunately like that. And to me, fam, that is something that we should really check ourselves on. Again, if you are someone who already goes to the gym regularly, please try not to tell someone who cannot have access to the gym, at least for now. Don't discourage them. Don't tell them that it's not going to work, because if you have the right type of programming, staying at home or working out outdoors or working out maybe inside your hotel room, in a trailer, in an RV, next to your car, in a parking lot, anywhere you want, or any space that is available to you will always be effective if you want it to be. All right, I want you guys to go back and replay that statement. Okay, because it is true. Most of the time we tend to shy away from beginning our journey to change because we feel that, again, there's always, or that we have to be within that ideal. And more often than not, we won't really have that specific ideal. Ideal moments, ideal times, all right? Even for myself, guys, I'm sure you have also experienced this where you are like ready and rearing to go to the gym, and then all of a sudden something comes up. And so, how do you go to the gym if that something came up? All right. And you can't really, like, maybe traveling to the gym is something that you cannot do for that day anymore. And what do? You do an alternative. And so that in itself is something that we should always be feeling good about, I guess, or the lack of term. Always having an alternative to going to the gym is something that we should always appreciate. That's a better term, I guess. Just being able to find the time, find the space, and really making that little step forward, that little effort for the day to make sure that, okay, that is a check mark on my to-do list today. I was able to take care of myself through movement. All right. So guys, again, one of the many things that we would always seem to excuse or use as an excuse for not starting out a better health and fitness journey is the venue or the place. And again, guys, there will always be ways to adjust it. You just need to be really creative about it, all right? So everything, if you notice, every type of excuse that we have, it's everything intertwined to each other. And so in the next podcast episodes, we will dive into even more of these issues and troubles that we often tell ourselves, if I have this, I cannot go to the gym. If I have that, I cannot go to the gym. And I will always be here to tell you guys, frankly, that doesn't matter if it's this or that, we will always find ways to make it happen. All right? So that is it for my blabbering today, guys. Thank you so much again for joining me in today's episode. Now, if you guys have not been able to do so yet, please do hit that subscribe button because it really does help the channel out. And if you have any questions or comments or requests, just leave those down in the comment section. Let me know what it is that you would like me to blabber about next. Anything about fitness and health is welcome. Or if you guys just want to say hello, I shall do my best to say hello back. All right. So that is it for today's episode. Again, Coach RK here. Thank you so much for joining me today. And always remember to never give up on your movement journey because it's never too late to move. Bye-bye, guys. See you again.